welcome to episode 250 of Cinematary. I'm your host, Zach Dennis, and I'm here with...
Jessica Carr.
Nathan Smith.
Andrew Swafford.
Lydia Creech.
Dylan Moore.
And in today's episode, we will be celebrating our 250th episode of this podcast with our movie swap. We're not going back to 200, where we're going to be piss drunk. We may bring that back for 300, but for now, we're going to be sober and talking about movies that we picked for each other. So,
I think in 300 we're doing heroin. Is that what's happening?
Oh, no.
We are injecting horse testosterone directly into our veins and watching 300 on fast forward.
Oh, man.
Yeah!
Get ready to get buff, guys.
but before Tim Meadows is going to be like, Cinematary, you don't want any of this shit.
God.
Anyway.
There'd be so much shouting.
Oh, it would be.
We're all
let's
sober
jump
if
in.
you can believe it.
It's gonna be crazy. Let's go ahead and jump into this thing. So we did bring back the timer. I know that some people, Andrew, ignored the timer when we did it in 200. But again, everybody is sober, so let's pretend like we actually care this time.
I had a lot to explain last time. I also had a
yelling
TV
about
show
vaginas
series.
for 15 minutes.
Vagina
Well,
hands.
there was also like a 26-episode TV series leading up to the vagina hands. So like when you get there, you gotta dwell on it for a minute.
All right. Well, if you haven't listened to 200,
fair.
I don't recommend it. Let's go ahead and jump into 250.
Don't.
Jessica, you're gonna lead us off, but first, Andrew's gonna tell us why he picked this movie for Jessica, and then we'll hit the timer.
Yes. Okay, so the movie that I chose for Jessica to talk about is Pom Poko by Isao Takahata, Studio Ghibli film, under discussed. And the reason why I picked this for Jessica specifically is because I think it's 2 or 3, maybe even 4 years ago, a bunch of us got together to exchange birthday gifts, because a lot of cemetery people have birthdays that are around the same time, and so we do like a big like group celebration for that. And Jordan Collier, who writes for the site from time to time, got Jessica a Blu-ray of Pom Poko. And these are like Disney Blu-rays, because Studio Ghibli was owned by Disney, or the distribution was owned by Disney at the time. And so they're really expensive. He spent like $35 or something on this Blu-ray. And Jessica opened it, and no shit, it is the only time in my entire life I've seen someone open a present to them and just say like, I hate it. It's just like, why did you buy me this? Pom Poko, are you serious? So... it's been years, and Jessica has not watched this movie, and Jordan gives her shit about it all the time. So I thought that this would be a great opportunity to make her watch the movie and give a documented response.
Nice.
So,
All right,
Jessica,
you're on the clock now.
Okay, so in my defense, all I knew about this movie was that it was about raccoons with giant balls. That's like literally the only thing I knew about it. If you look up images of Pom Poko, you just see raccoons with giant balls. So like, obviously I'm not going to watch that by myself. And every time I tried to get somebody to watch it with me, nobody wanted to watch it with me, or something came up. So
I have not seen it, for the record.
okay, thank you. So that's the reason why I haven't watched Pom Poko. And also, this movie is 2 hours long.
Whoa.
Seriously, it's 2 hours long. Andrew made me watch Uncle Boon Me, which was like 2.5 hours long.
No, it isn't.
What?
No, it isn't.
It feels like it is. And I'm okay. I'm okay with slow cinema, Andrew, so you don't gotta, like, beat me down with it. I understand movies need to take their time.
That's what I do.
It's
I beat
fine.
people down.
I get it. But anyways, so, Lydia, help me out. What are these raccoons, like, actually called?
Okay. They're not raccoons. It's a mythical Japanese raccoon-like
I hear raccoon there.
creature. They're called
So you're saying the best frame
Wait,
of
wait, wait.
reference is raccoons?
It is raccoon. They're called Tanuki. If you've ever played Animal Crossing, I think Tom Nook's character is supposed to be a Tanuki, which is why he wears an apron.
would.
Also, in
would.
Super Mario
Yeah.
Bros. 3,
He
you
would
can
be.
get the Tanuki suit and have a little tail behind you.
Yes, I think they're like trickster gods, sort of. Or like thieves or something. They're supposed to be like very
so
mischievous.
the thing is that they can transform into anything. So like during the okay, so here's the plot
okay.
of this movie. It starts out and I'm pretty sure
Okay.
that the way that this was written was that so it was still something that American audiences could understand because it is Disney also, and so they're like, we need them to still be able to understand this. So they definitely, in the English dub, which I did watch because I wanted to further torture myself, they call them raccoons and they refer to themselves as raccoons, and
You have 2 hours. You can call them Tanuki.
and they also they look like regular, so like even in the animation,
Okay.
the way that they're drawn, they look like regular raccoons, and it's like a joke. It's like a joke.
So what's the plot? What's the plot of the movie?
It's a joke in the movie because they say, oh, once we start, like when humans aren't around, we walk on 2 feet. And then that's when they turn into the like more cartoony looking raccoon people that are walking around. But anyways, so they can transform into anything, and they live in this big group, but they were like at war with each other because they were fighting for food. But they decide that the real enemy is humans because their home is being destroyed, and they're trying to build an urban development in Japan, and they're destroying their home. So the whole entire movie, that's right, the whole movie is about them they're like training themselves to transform into objects slash people slash snakes slash ghosts slash skeletons slash literally there are no rules. They can turn into anything that they want, and they're trying to scare the humans so that they think that the urban development place is haunted, so that they will leave it alone and stop building on their land. The problem
So how do
is
balls
that
factor into that?
you can't. The problem is that you can't stop humans when they want money, and so they're trying to do all of this, and they even kill people. Like the raccoon.
Oh, I forgot about
the
that.
raccoons kill people, and they cause them to like get into like construction accidents and stuff like that. And they're just like turning into shit. There's like my favorite part, one of my favorite parts of the movie is
Not literally. Maybe.
oh my god, is the climax where they're like trying to scare the entire town, and they just put on a show, and like they just like
It's like a creepy parade.
yeah, it's like a creepy parade. They turn into like giant skeletons. There's like snakes that have like the heads of people on them. Like it's really weird. And there's also just lines in this movie where I was like, what the hell are you guys talking about? Like they're like all like having fun, and they're having a party and stuff, and they're talking, and they're like, we should just kill all the humans. They're like, wouldn't that be cool? Like if we just like killed every single human. And then one raccoon is like, hey, but hear me out. If we killed all the humans, we wouldn't have hamburgers or pepperoni pizzas or ice cream. And he was like, so let's just kill let's just kill most of them, and then we can save the rest of them so that we can enjoy pepperoni pizza. And I was like, this raccoon should be president of all these raccoons. I was like, he knows what he's talking about. There's also the plot of this thing doesn't make any sense. It cannot last 2 hours. They get nowhere.
No.
Like when they're trying to scare the humans, they don't get anywhere with it. And the end is them just deciding like we could just live among them as humans and then just sometimes hang out and be raccoons. Like it's like it doesn't make any sense. But there is like a romantic subplot that has one of the funniest lines from a narrator, and it's like a girl raccoon and a boy raccoon, and they're like hanging out, and they're like we shouldn't have sex, because if we do, we'll make baby raccoons that we can't feed because there's a food shortage. And they're like, let's be smart about this. We're not going to get married. We're not going to have sex. We're just going to hang out, and we're not going to do anything romantic, even though we love each other, because if we make babies, then we can't feed them. And then the girl is like, I just love you so much. And the guy's like, I just love you so much. And then they start making out, and then they fall into the grass, and then flowers float up, which apparently means that they had sex. And the narrator goes,
Obviously.
the narrator goes, that was a mistake.
So it's just marriage.
And then it was like, and then it like pans over and shows them with like 4 babies, and it was like, then they were married and they had 4 baby raccoons. And I was like, what the hell am I watching? Like, I was like, what is happening?
I'm still not hearing anything about balls.
Yeah,
and I'm still very much wondering how that factors in.
Well, that's the other thing, is that this is false advertising as a raccoon ball movie.
As a ball movie. This is not ball cinema.
This is not raccoon ball cinema, friends. This is like, so like the most interesting thing that happens with their balls is that they can use them to turn into things. So like,
can't they fly with them
they
too?
like sort of fly with them. But there's like one of them, he like turns his ball sack into a sailboat. It's like a sail for a sailboat. And so like that's fun. And they just like turn into stuff. Like that's the whole thing. It's just them turning into stuff. I don't even know. But like the thing about Takahata is that he likes movies that have to do with like birth and death. And this is, you're basically like, the 2 hours is you get to see the beginning of this raccoon clan, and then the old ones die like towards the end, but they die peacefully, and they show like the boat where they're going into nirvana. And so it's like there's like a religious thing in this too. And so like my favorite Takahata movie is Princess Kaguya, and I think that he does that way better. Like he does the whole birth and death thing a lot smoother and more digestible in that movie. So like I want to say that Pom Poko was just his like tester for it, maybe. Like maybe he was just like testing that out. But I
mean, this is like 20 years before Kaguya. Like,
yeah,
he's just starting out.
Exactly. He was like, let me start with this like raccoon ball movie and then work into just like my masterpiece.
Wasn't ballsy enough.
Yeah, would you say it's a very testy movie?
Did you say it was okay, you want to know if it's a testy movie?
Never mind.
Oh my god, are you serious? Really?
Are you glad you watched it?
Am I glad?
Are you glad you watched it? Yes. I mean, filling in those.
Have you now
Studio
seen
Ghibli
his whole filmography
spots.
then?
No. So I've seen Pom Poko only yesterday. Princess Kaguya. I haven't seen Grave of the Fireflies. I need to watch that.
There's also My Neighbor the Yamadas.
That would be...
And My Neighbors the Yamadas.
Yeah, I always forget that he made that. Grave of the Fireflies would be a grueling movie swap pick.
Ooh,
so you're welcome that I did not have you watch Grave of the Fireflies.
Yeah. So I need to watch those 2 movies. But I will say a few things in conclusion, which is, am I glad I watched this movie about raccoon balls? Probably not. But
are you gonna hold on to the Blu-ray?
Am I gonna keep this Blu-ray because my bald friend Jordan gave it to me out of the kindness of his heart?
I don't like how you said that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep the movie, and perhaps I will watch it with friends.
Make your niece watch it.
I have a question. What does the title mean? Something? Does it translate? to something? Pom Poko?
I don't know, but in the film,
Is it
they use it
onomatopoeia?
as like it is the year 32 in the Pom Poko era. Like that's the way that they use it. So I don't know what that means, but my wrapping up thoughts are: if you want to watch a weird movie, then watch Pom Poko. But if you want to watch other Takahata movies, then do that. Okay, cool.
I think we got plenty of weird movies for this episode.
I guess, yeah.
Not so much the next one. The next one's a little bit more ordinary.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Jessica. You're up again, though.
Oh, you're not? I thought you were done.
You're not done yet. No,
She's not done yet.
Because I'm next, and she picked my movie, so.
You have to.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Thank you.
So why did you pick the Lunchbox?
Okay, so I picked the Lunchbox for Zach because Zach enjoys melancholy movies. And he also, there was one point where, Zach, you were watching a lot of indie. And so I thought that the Lunchbox would be good because it is about middle class Indians, and versus being something about people in poverty or about like the very like upscale Bollywood movies. So I felt like it's a group of people that are underrepresented, but it's also just a really great romance movie. So
pretty much you're like a mid-2000s politician who's just like the middle class.
Yes, exactly. I mean, they're underrepresented.
Zach likes a romantic movie
I think
too.
That it's an important story to tell. So, there you go.
All right. Well, I'm going to start the timer and talk about this Lunchbox. The Lunchbox. Guys, it is hot garbage. Let me tell you what. I'm just kidding. It's a deeply inoffensive movie. I don't think you could find it to be awful.
That's even worse.
Yeah. I'm gonna read my I feel like a review I really appreciated from a critic who I follow, and that's Nathan Smith, who said,
"Oh hell yeah,
the Lunchbox for sad boys," and he spelled it SADBOIS.
It was a different time in my life.
2013.
For sad boys
2014.
who sort of like the best exotic marigold hotel and salmon fishing in the Yemen, even though they were the youngest person in the audience. Granted, the Lunchbox is better than the two I mentioned, but you know what I mean. This is a real RILL quote nice movie, unoffensive, warm, but dang sad in parts.
Like, why did you just have to remind me about something I wrote 5 years ago?
That's what friends are for, Nathan.
That's why we're here.
Oh man.
No, the Lunchbox stars Irfan Khan, who people know from The Life of Pi. And the movie is about, he is a I think an accountant. He has a really boring job, and there's this delivery system in Mumbai which is like they're super braggy about how efficient it is and how they never deliver to the wrong person. So naturally they deliver to the wrong person in this movie, and it is this housewife is trying to send her lunch to her husband, but it ends up in Irfan Khan's lunchbox thing. They have these cool lunchboxes though. It's like these like circles, like these cylinder things that all stack up on on top of each other. It's like Yahtzee, and I don't know. I think we need to bring that to America.
I don't know. You mean Jenga?
Maybe Jenga. Yeah, Jenga. It's like
Yahtzee's the dice game.
Well, they roll.
Oh, there's a cup in Yahtzee.
They roll a dice. It's really weird. They're like eating the food and they're rolling dice and picking what food they eat. So that's why I thought it was Yahtzee. But so he gets the wrong meal, or he gets the meal that she intended for her husband, and this leads to the two sharing notes every day where they're talking about how unfulfilling their lives are. And because they decide after a while that they would like to meet, or more, she invites him to lunch so that they can meet. But Irfan Khan's character is like, no. He realizes, no, I'm old, and she won't like me because she's young, and I'm a sad old man, and so they end up not meeting, which is sad. And
he dang sad.
He hold on. He p dang sad. You know, as some say. No, it's a very sweet. I don't know. Unoffensive is kind of offensive, but it's pretty. I don't know. There's nothing like starkly cinematic about it. It's a very well written script. You have these wonderful performances by Irfan Khan and Nimrat Kaur, who plays the housewife, and it kind of runs under this vibe of like in the mood for love and other kind of love stories that can't happen. This one though, there's not really that like sexual tension in terms of like they're with each other and nothing can happen. The two people never meet in this movie. They're just swapping notes, so it's pretty much like a feature-length movie of what happens to you in middle school.
Wow.
I don't know. There's after a while, just I guess you can get sucked into the back and forth of their conversations, but again, there's nothing like deeply visual about that.
How do they do the like note swapping back and forth, like voiceover, or? There's
voiceover while they're like reading the note.
Okay.
So I mean that's why I say it's not really visual, because it's like they each open their lunch or whatever and then go like, oh, what did he say? And they're reading it, and it's pretty much like she's going, my husband's a piece of shit and my kid doesn't like me and I just want to like have a life where people like me, and he's just like, Aww. Well, I don't like people, but you seem nice and life is terrible and I don't want to retire, and this guy's who's trying to train with me is annoying. But then they become friends, and that's kind of a sweet subplot where the annoying training guy becomes his buddy, and that's a whole other side plot that kind of takes place that I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have much to say about this movie. It's a sweet movie. It has sweet performances. I could see old people just eating this shit up. This is perfectly curated to baby boomers who want to feel world cultured. Yeah.
You are adding my mom so hard right now because she is literally the person who made me watch this movie.
My mom too. Shut up, Mom, if you're listening to this. Lydia's coming up later. Don't worry. You can skip past this part.
Hi, Mary.
I don't. It's a sweet movie, and I think that there is that melancholiness though, that is nice, but I don't think that it has like the things with like in the mood for love, or parts of like Before Sunrise or stuff like that, where it's like people who are together but don't really like feel like they're almost going to culminate the relationship. There is this visualness that they add to the tension that makes it a lot more cinematic in a sense, and this one really is like it's just leaning on the back and forth between them sharing the notes. I don't feel like I really remember this movie like in terms of how it's being shot. It feels like it's just kind of I don't know, relatively basic. What, Lydia?
Was this adapted from a book? Because it kind of sounds like this would work really well in like a novel format.
Yeah,
possibly.
Epistolary novel.
Yeah.
Well, it says it was written by the director, so the Ritesh Batra, the writer, he wrote and directed it. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's a nice one, but
when you said it was inoffensive, I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes, because that generally is that's generally what gets you a really high score on Rotten Tomatoes. If like your movie is not really gonna turn anybody off, and it has a 96.
Yeah, it's Yeah. It's also in the year 2013 was in the year 2013 was Louis C.K's favorite movie of the year. So
What?
That's
How
a
are
nice-
you able to find out Louis C.K.'s favorite movie of 2013, Zach? Where did that information
Oh my
come
God.
from? I that's not a rhetorical question. Where did you find that out?
Hold on. Because Louis
Oh my
C.K.
God.
posted his favorite movies of the year, and in a tweet. Hold on. It said, he tweeted, "I saw an incredible, beautiful movie called The Lunchbox by Ritesh Batra. It's on iTunes. Whoever you are, you have to see it."
So wait, this movie's
I don't
about
know
like
if
an
you like-
older guy who has a full-blown emotional affair with some woman who's like slightly too young for him, and I mean, I
but
can
there's
see how
no,
he.
but he never runs into her and masturbates in front of her and keeps her in a room. So that at least this character is doing better than Louis C.K.
Look, I'm sure
Yeah,
you don't.
Louis C.K.'s favorite movie from the year.
Okay.
I wonder how Louis C.K. feels about my movie that we're going to talk about later.
Is there
see.
what's the level of? He probably would like Pom Poko because with the giant testicles, there's at least room to lead to masturbation in front of wanted women.
So should we pivot to Nathan's movie?
I still have
You don't
5
have to do the
minutes.
full 15 minutes.
Actually, that's a pretty
Oh
good
my
segue,
God.
honestly.
I mean, I still have over 5 minutes, so I was just gonna kill some time, just kind of ramble for a while.
I mean, why don't you tell us about
can do
why
that.
you picked Nathan's movie? Because this pick cracks me up. It is the perfect movie pick, the perfect movie, the perfect occasion, the perfect person. This is it, people.
So let me.
No, I'm proud of
Oh
you.
my god. And his choice was this is it.
Nathan, I'm proud of you for not giving this a super high score.
Oh, it was very easy to not give this movie. Guys.
Okay,
So
well.
let me back
Give
up.
us your intro, please.
Let me back up first and just go a little bit into my history with the Love Guru. So the Love Guru came. What year did this come out, Nathan?
2008.
All right, 2008.
2008.
So at this point in time, Zach was very into just the image and kind of the attractiveness of Jessica Alba. So Zach was also dating in high school at this time, and his girlfriend was like, "We should go see a Jessica Alba movie," and I was like, "Yeah." Now this is in high school, that also leads to you get to fool around, it's getting game.
What?
But because Zach
What?
does not have any coordination or moves at all,
Please
this is what happened. This is what happened.
Mary's
No,
gonna
shut up.
fast
Just-
forward to Lydia's part now.
No. She can listen. It's
She's already skipped to my part.
Yeah, no, it's really just sad at this point. No, so I was like,
She hit the skip name that we
For the patrons.
Oh no.
I put
that'd be a
my
good
put my
patron
arm
perk.
around her because I was like, all right, so this is the move that we gotta make. But then I didn't connect that at any point I could move my arm back or that I could just do anything else. So by the end of this movie, I had not made a move to any base at all, and instead had put my arm to sleep to the point that when we left, it slouched down and I looked like a
Oh my
cave
God.
person. And that's what happened at the end of the Love Guru. I went for a date. I got really hooked on the Romany Malkin sex scene, and it was another one where there was vague sex in it, and it was TBS PG-13 sex in it. So rather than just going the miles to
Right.
find actual sex, I just watched that like a good Gentile in the South.
So why did you choose
And,
this for Nathan?
Oh,
Yeah,
it was on
no.
it was on Nathan's watch list, so I picked it anyway.
There's also a trajectory Nathan has put himself on. This is the bed that he has
Yes.
made for himself.
I can explain that. I can explain that.
I would like to hear
better
Zach.
probably than Zach could, because I'm the one who's made.
God damn it!
Made the choices. God damn it! And I have to live with them every single day of my life.
All right. Well, your timer starts
I
now.
think I'm the one who should have to explain the trajectory that I'm on. Okay, so it actually is like very fortuitous timing that you chose this movie, because as Andrew just alluded to, about 2 summers ago, I guess I began this sort of unofficial personal project to catch up with a lot of the studio comedies of like the last. I mean, honestly, the last 2 decades. And these are movies that, like, a lot of people, like, you know, on this podcast, a lot of people listening to this podcast, just people in general in this country had to see and or suffer through. But I avoided many raunchy studio comedies of the 2000s because I grew up kind of religious. And so my parents, you know, we would watch some things that were raunchy, like Raising Arizona, but this was totally, you know, that had some like cultural value. This stuff was like total garbage, and like my parents didn't really want me to watch it. So it began with me catching up with movies that are actually good, like Step Brothers and Talladega Nights, and you know, as many people know, I'm a defender of a lot of Adam Sandler's movies, and so I think those movies are good. But over time, I made this letterbox list called Funny Haha, just to like track these movies and like just, you know, create a list of all these 2000s comedies, and like I've just gotten to the bottom of the barrel, and I'm just like watching now a lot of Drek. So I just recently watched all the Austin Powers movies for the first time, which are actually for the most part, save for Goldmember, the third one, I think they're pretty good. You know, compared to comedies now, they have a really strong visual sensibility and a lot of physical comedy. They're also just like weirdly specific, because it's not just a James Bond parody, it's like almost more of a parody of Blow Up than James Bond, because it's like this whole 60s swinging London thing. So it's just this like very culturally specific kind of parody, which in The Love Guru, I think Mike Myers tries to do again with this sort of...
It's also a Blow Up?
No. It's just like this like weird spoof of like 60s culture. Like he's playing basically kind of a parody of like, you know, the Beatles, like, you know, falling under the sway of the Maharishi of Transcendental Meditation, you know, and it's basically just about this like white guy who thinks he's a guru, who's been trained in like Hinduism, who is just like now a total kind of fraud and huckster. So in a weird way, it's like kind of an interesting idea. Like I feel like there could be maybe a more dramatic version of The Love Guru, of like, you know, this washed up like guy who's like tries to fix people's relationships. But as the movie is, it is not very good. It's kind of I feel like I actually have a little bit more to say about this movie, just because I've been watching it in context of these other, particularly Mike Myers movies and stuff. Otherwise, I may not have a lot to say about it, because it was like very easy to tune out of. Basically, the plot, like I said, you know, Mike Myers plays Guru Pitka, who is the number 2 guru in the world after Deepak Chopra, and we learned that he was orphaned in India. He had like Christian missionary parents. Then he became a guru. He trained with Deepak Chopra. Basically, this movie is just a long joke about how Deepak Chopra's name rhymes with Oprah's name. So basically, the whole movie is about how he wants to become the number 1 relationship guru in the world. He has all these celebrity clients like Jessica Simpson and Val Kilmer, and then so, you know, it's kind of like Hitch or something a little bit. But then it turns into the first Ace Ventura movie, because he gets hooked up with Jessica Alba's character, who is the owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team, and she's having trouble with a star player who's like having a public dispute with his girlfriend. She needs the guru to fix their relationship, and the guru, of course, falls in love with Jessica Alba and tries to get together with her. And so,
but doesn't he have like a chastity belt?
He does. As a young boy, he is given a chastity belt by his guru, played by Ben Kingsley. So the whole movie is kind of about
Ben Kingsley.
Sir Guru Ben Kingsley. So basically, the whole movie is about how he's like this relationship expert, but he's like really inexperienced and not good with sex or with relationships or any of that stuff.
That's how I connected to it as a young high schooler.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like on that date, like you could have used some advice from the Love Guru. It's like
my arm was asleep. I couldn't do anything.
Even though it's not really good, it's got a weirdly stacked supporting cast. Like, it has John Oliver as Stephen Colbert, Jim Gaffigan in minor roles. Justin Timberlake plays this French-Canadian hockey player named Jacques Lecoq, who is obsessed with Celine Dion. And he's actually pretty funny. I will say that was like the one character in the movie who was like a good comic character for me. Otherwise, none of the really outrageous characters really worked for me. I will say there's a section of the Wikipedia page that says portrayal of Hinduism. Of course, when the movie was coming out, a lot of people in the Hindu community were really worried about the movie and its depiction of Hinduism. So there was a screening before the movie came out for the Hindu American Foundation and other members of various American Hindu groups, and they decided when watching the movie that it was vulgar and crude.
Oh my God.
Not necessarily anti-Hindu, which I think is true. It's a crude, like, stupid movie, but it is like probably less like a little bit less disrespectful to Hinduism and to than you might expect. So, like, a little bit.
I expect it to
less
be very
racist than you might expect. I mean, it's like not great. But it's not like, I mean, it's a low bar, but like at least he's not doing brown face,
oh my God.
Yeah. So I will also say that, like, part of the joke, it seems like Mike Myers, both in this movie and in Austin Powers, just wanted to make musicals, honestly.
Yeah.
And so there are 3 musical sequences in this. It opens with a cover of 9 to 5. Later, there's
Doesn't he play the Joker?
Yeah, at the end of the movie, he plays the Joker by the Steve Miller Band, which is one of my favorite songs. He also covers the song More Than Words by Extreme, all of them sung by Myers and performed, like, on the sitar. So, like, that's not in the best taste, but, like, they are pretty good musical numbers and are pretty compelling to watch. And, like, I just kind of wish that he would be able to make that musical or would make a musical, not of the Love Guru, but just of something.
How would you say this fits? I was going to say, how would you say this, like, you mentioned, like, bottom of the barrel, but just, like, as a studio, like, weird studio comedy in the mid to late.
Right.
Like, just...
It's pretty...
doesn't have a good reputation.
No, it doesn't, and I think deservedly so. It's like the moment the movie became about hockey, I was, like, tuned out, because I was like, wait. This is just some, like, ridiculous product placement. It's just, like, there's Cinnabon product placement also. It's just, like, a lot of that. And it's clear that, like, it's very weird, because Mike Myers... I think the Wayne's World movies are great. I think Austin Powers movies are great. By now he had his Shrek money. And so it's he's basically retreated from the public eye for the most part. He was in Glorious Bastards. He was in Bohemian Rhapsody, small roles in both of those. But, he hasn't really done a ton else. And it's partially, I think, because this movie bombed and The Cat in the Hat 5 years earlier also bombed. The weird thing about both of those movies is that they're both directed by people who were, like, really prolific and accomplished below the line people. The Love Guru was directed by, what is his name? Oh my God. I went off the Wikipedia page for the Love Guru. What is this guy's name? His name is Marco Schnabel, and he was like a second unit director on the Austin Powers movies. This is the only movie he's directed. Same with...
Why wasn't he on our one and done canon list?
Good question.
Oh my
because
God.
the Fates knew that I was going to talk about this.
Good movies only.
I will say, because I feel like I'm running out of time probably soon. Bo Welch, who directed The Cat in the Hat, who was like Tim Burton's production designer, Oscar nominated. That's the only movie he's directed. Also, Master in Disguise, which is the only movie that Dana Carvey, who of course was his Mike Myers' loyal sidekick in the Wayne's World movies. The Master of Disguise, same thing, directed by Perry Andelin Blake, who was a Harvard-educated architect and production designer on a lot of the Happy Madison, Adam Sandler and Kevin James movies. Also, the only movie that he has directed, because all of these movies got terrible reviews.
Seems like we need a reverse canon list called like One Chance Too Many or something of people who should have never been able to make their one movie.
Or everybody's careers that Mike Myers ruined.
Yeah, and it's just like. It's I don't know. It's very strange because Mike Myers is I think like immensely talented, and made some like very visually accomplished comedies. But like I don't know what he was thinking exactly with this, and like I wonder
if he's like I wonder if he's like too hard for inexperienced directors to rein in.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the problem with so many of these comedies is like a lot of times, the like Jay Roach, who did all the Austin Powers movies, is now an Oscar, like prestige director guy. And Adam McKay, the same thing. Todd Phillips is trying to do the same thing. So now, like, so many of these, by this point, all those directors had, all the directors of the like better 2000 studios comedies had bigger ambitions. So now you just have these sort of like, Mike Myers run wild. Like you say, like somebody who does not have the vision and is just going to bend to whatever stupid whim he has. And it's just like a lot of people who did funnier stuff in earlier movies, like Vern Troyer is nowhere near as good as he is in the Austin Powers movies in this. Like, it's just, what even is the joke? I don't know. Again, it's like the whole thing just seems like product placement for Deepak Chopra, honestly. He benefits from this movie much more.
I feel like that's
than
the main thing I remember.
Because it's just like constantly, Deepak Chopra is #1 in the world and I'm not. Like, that's just and then Deepak Chopra shows up. And it's great. Good. So I was glad to get this movie off my watch list, make space for something else, but not so good.
I'm glad you lost it.
I also am proud that I made this pick and you lost a bunch of Twitter followers.
Wait,
this is actually an important part of the saga.
Oh my goodness!
So I was tweeting about watching The Love Guru. Some pretty innocuous tweets. Then I made the mistake of tweeting a photograph of a photoshopped back tattoo of the Love Guru's face. And that lost me like 7 and 10 followers.
Oh my
God. Was it a picture of your back with the Love Guru's tattoo on it?
Unfortunately, we're not there yet. I have to get my Jar Jar Binks tattoo removed before I can get the Love Guru.
Oh, I just found the tweet.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe it was just bad timing and those people were mad at me for other reasons. Maybe they were mad at me for watching Master of Disguise and The Cat in the Hat back to back like I did 7
That's
weeks
what
ago.
broke the camel's back, though. They were just like, this guy, man, I've been following him for years, but he's just tweeting these back tattoos of the Love Guru. I need to go back to my better content.
That was like the second photo of a novelty back tattoo I had tweeted and like within a span of a week. I had tweeted this tattoo that somebody actually has of Jar Jar Binks' face, but in the style of the tattoo that Steve-O from Jackass has on his back.
Yes, I remember that.
So it's that
there it is.
tattoo
Okay,
with
right.
Jar Jar Binks.
So
I think maybe that was like a 1-2 punch that just like pushed me over the line a little bit. So maybe we should link these pictures in the show notes. Or something.
Probably.
Maybe.
Anyways, I think
Yeah.
we're gonna take
Oh
a
my
break.
God.
Instead
Need
of
some
linking to the
reference,
movie,
yeah.
I'm gonna link to that photo.
Oh my god.
Wow. So,
Oh my goodness.
all right. Well, we're gonna take a short break. I feel like we've dealt with a lot, and
We've gone some places.
Ooh.
we've gone some places, and we'll be back and deal with a lot more pressing things, and I don't know what to do with that. Anyway, let's break.
Hey, Cinematariats, this is your co-host Lydia Creech with an important message during this break in the show. Cinematary would like you to know that we definitely want your money. We still want to bring you our pure, unadulterated opinions on the world of cinema, but now we're getting into the Patreon game, baby. We've brought on a lot of new voices to contribute to the site, and we want to honor our responsibility to compensate all these smart people for their hard work. To help us out, head over to patreon.com/cinematary to sign up at the $5 a month level. In exchange, our patrons will get an exclusive bonus episode every month, weekly shoutouts on each episode of the show, and the ability to dictate a movie for us to cover eventually. If money's tight, we get it. There are still a few things you can do that we would greatly appreciate. First, leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. That's free to help us reach more listeners. Secondly, send us a tweet at Cinematary, or better yet, send an email to Zach@cinematary.com. That's Zach, Z-A-C-H, to let us know your thoughts, and we will read them out and respond to them on future episodes. Finally, please share the show with friends and members of your family who you think would enjoy listening to and participating in our film discussions we put out every week. So, to recap, review, send us your thoughts through Twitter and email, share with your friends and family, and sign up to be a patron. We would truly appreciate it. Thanks for listening, and now back to the show.
Walk hard, hard down life's rocky road. Walk bold, hard, that's my creed, my code. I've been scorned and slandered and ridiculed too. Had to struggle every day my whole life through. Seen my share of the worst that this world can give, but I still got a dream and a burning rage to live. Walk hard, hard, when they say you're all done. Walk bold.
And we are back with part 2 of episode 250. I'm curious to see how many people are still listening, but we'll go on ahead anyway, because we're going to really get people excited with this one. Andrew, you're going to talk about your movie, but first, Dylan, why did you pick this movie for Andrew?
For a handful of reasons. One, probably most important, is I just wanted to hear Andrew's opinion about this and needed someone to talk through this movie with, because it's a lot. A second reason is I feel like Andrew's dipped his toe into like 60s Japanese movies in that past year or so. And that can get pretty weird on its own. And the director of this movie, Nagisa Oshima, is like a particular... he got like put in the New Wave box by Sojiku, the studio he started out in and worked for. But he kind of like, I don't know, elbowed his way into just being independent and had to deal with censorship for like most of, or if not all of his career, one way or the other. Because, you know, he eventually goes on to do In the Realm of the Senses and The Man Who Left His Will on film. And
In the Realm of the Senses, the only movie that could not play the New York Film Festival because the print was literally stopped.
Oh boy. Yeah. So he's I hate the word or the phrase for a filmmaker or just most artist types of provocateur, but I feel like he actually has a political opinion behind him, and it's not just like bland provocation. And so those are the good handful of reasons that I felt like Andrew may appreciate this movie, or at least be willing to talk through it. So,
and the name of the movie, I don't think we've said it, is Death by Hanging, which came out in 1968. I feel like I might be in a similar place as you, Dylan, where like I just need somebody to talk about this movie with, because I'm not sure what to do with it exactly. I'm going to not go over my 15-minute limit. Zach, please just force me to stop talking if I do that, because me and Dylan could have a much longer conversation about this. I feel like what this is going to be is very similar to the episode 200, I'm just like plot summarizing, because a lot happens.
Are there hand vaginas in this too?
No.
I wouldn't say we're in a completely dissimilar place, but okay, so the movie is called Death by Hanging. It begins with a title card directly addressing the audience, asking, "What is your opinion on capital punishment?"
Or specifically, do you support or want to abolish capital punishment?
Do you support abolishing capital punishment? And then the next title card is like a series of statistics on what percentage of Japanese people support the abolition of capital punishment.
And it's like 16%.
70% want it abolished. And then
no, they want it to stay.
Oh, really?
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
The opposite. Yeah.
And then he directly, or the title card directly addresses those people. It's like, to you, I ask, have you ever seen what is the term they use? Like an execution chamber, I think is the term they use. And then the next like 5 or so minutes of the movie plays out like a documentary where they're showing you what an execution chamber is, like where the inmate has their last meal and where they have their last rites read to them, and like where the audience is sitting for the hanging and stuff like that. And it's all very like objective, like this is like an industrial film of like, this is what it's like inside of a prison.
Intoned by a narrator.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. No actors saying anything. You were just looking at images and having the narrator explain them to us like it's a PowerPoint presentation or something. And then it's like walking you through the process of someone being hanged. And then once the example person we're looking at, once the like platform drops out from under them and they are hanged, that is when the movie proper begins, and we just like start following what happens to this particular prisoner, because contrary to what the title would suggest, he does not die. Platform falls out, he falls down, but yet his heart is still beating. Like it seems like his head has been disconnected from his spine, but his heart is still beating. And so what happens from there is kind of like a bureaucratic farce for a couple of a couple sequences where the whole like penitentiary bureaucracy has to figure out what to do with this person, because he is not dead, but he is also not conscious, and according to all of their bylaws, you can't execute a person who's not conscious.
Well, it's a specific mental incapacitation, right?
Yes.
Like he's awake and he seems to be aware, such as it is, but like he doesn't remember who he is for some reason.
Exactly. Like
some kind of,
they talk about how the purpose of execution is not just to eliminate this person from the population, but it's to have them reckon with their own guilt. And if they're not like conscious or aware enough of like who they are or what they did, then the purpose has been defeated. So then essentially what the movie becomes for the next 30 minutes to an hour is the various parties involved, like there's like an
education
chief there. There's like a priest there. There's a couple different, just bureaucratic clerks. They are trying to basically bring this guy back to life and sort of parent him to like give him an identity and like have him think about have him realize what he did exclusively so that they can kill him, right? So they have to teach him his name because he doesn't know his name. They start talking to him about like who he is, and they say like, well, your parents are from Korea, and he's like, what's Korea? And they're like, well, it's a country, and he's like, what's a country? And they start to really get like deep in the philosophical and linguistic weeds of like, how do we explain these very abstract concepts to this guy who has no sense of reference of what our like social fabric is at this point. Like, you can't punish somebody for a crime if they don't even understand like what society as a whole is, you know? Then you find they start reading the paperwork on this dude to try and explain to him what he did. You find out he's a murderer. He's murdered 2 women. He also raped both of those women. And in order to kind of illustrate to him what exactly he did and why it was bad, the various parties in the room begin like reenacting the stuff that he did. Like, not literally reenacting it, but they're kind of like pantomiming it, like pantomiming choking people and pantomiming raping people and stuff like that. And all these various bureaucrats end up like getting really into it to the point where it becomes like a play they're putting on, and he kind of has a part in it. At one point they pretend to be like his parents and his siblings and stuff like that, and they're just like sitting around the dinner table doing all of these impressions of what they see as like this stereotypical Korean personality type, which like from a modern American audience, like it doesn't scan at all. Like, I don't even understand what the Korean stereotype is, but there's a lot of like very overt racism against Korean people in this movie. And eventually it escalates to the point where they let him leave the prison and like walk around the world with him and like explain things about the world to him. And they're trying to like get him back into his bad ways, to like show him like, look, you're bad. Like, beautiful women are walking by him and they're like wolf whistling and like cat calling these women to try and show him the kind of like awful shit that he did to women. But like the police officers and stuff are enjoying it so much that they are essentially becoming the criminal that he was. And
especially the education chief, like he gets like haggard and just wild and wild-eyed, and it's just
like, he may or may not have actually killed someone.
Yeah.
He like just grabs a woman off the street and starts choking her, and like we, the audience, see her die. But then everything that happens after that in the movie calls into question the reality of what we just experienced. Like, he sees her corpse in the police station and nobody else sees it. And then like other people start seeing it, and then the corpse gets up and starts walking and talking, and some people notice that and some people don't. And and as all this is happening, there's like 2 different.
I just put it on my watch list.
I'm
like,
sort of
this sounds
spoiling
awesome.
this movie. I don't know if you can spoil this movie. It's very strange. Lydia, it's very upsetting. I don't know if you're going to enjoy it. I don't know if I enjoyed it. I'm just working through this. In the final act, these 2 conversations kind of dominate the screen time. One conversation between all of the various bureaucrats who they kind of have given up on the case, and they start drinking themselves silly and talking about the various war crimes they have committed when they were at war with Korea, and debating like, what is the difference between what this guy did to these women and what we did to people in war, and really having a philosophical conversation about like when violence is justified. And of course we're like in an execution chamber too, which there is a direct conversation at the very end of the movie about like, well, if you're killing me because I'm a murderer, doesn't that make you a murderer? Like, shouldn't somebody kill you after you kill me, and then shouldn't somebody kill them? And like it gets very like philosophy 101 spiral in the final moments. The other conversation that's happening is the not dead guy, whose name is R, by the way, just the letter R.
He has 2 names, but R is his like supposed to be his Korean name.
He all of a sudden is like naked under the cover, under like a random bed sheet that's in place in the middle of this office with the formerly dead girl who is now being referred to as his sister.
Elder sister.
Yeah, and I don't know if she actually is his sister or not.
I don't think so.
But they're like laying in bed like they just had sex, and he's talking to her as if he is her brother. And the conversation they're having is about the difference between sinning with your flesh and sinning in the mind. You know, that at one point the priest character quotes, I think it's the Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus said like to commit adultery in one's heart.
I feel like Paul said that.
Is, you know, yada yada yada, just as bad as committing adultery in real life. That's a direct Bible quote, by the way. Anyways, they're talking about whether or not he did anything worse than what tons of people do in their imaginations, the things that people fantasize about doing but would never actually do. And there's also...
I mean,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. Also, the conversation that they have that is somehow all of these things end up getting tied to one another is she is like
what?
Like trying to get out of him like his Korean spirit.
Oh,
like,
God.
right,
Yeah, there's
like,
a lot of talk about his Korean identity. She tries to make the case that he can't be tried for this crime because he's only a criminal because
of the Japanese war crimes.
Because of like the exploitation and oppression of Korean people in Japan, and so he turns to crime because he like lives such an impoverished life and all this stuff.
But also going like you need to go back to Korea and go for the reunification and find that again. And fuck Japan.
So it's very political. It's very philosophical. It kind of reads as like an absurdist, edgy version of 12 Angry Men. Whereas
oh my God.
In 12 Angry Men, you know, they're trying to look over the facts of this case that has happened and find like a reasonable doubt. And here they're like looking at the fabric of reality and trying to find like evidence to support that the reality that we think exists actually exists. Eventually getting to the like galaxy brain point of like, well, who even are we anyway? How can we say that anyone is guilty of any crime when like I'm not even the same person I was yesterday? You know, it's very heady. It's very abstract.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Dylan.
The ultimate point, or because that's like the starting core of it for sure, that like completely upend it at the beginning, but by the end I think it wraps back around to the point it was trying to make at the beginning of that we alluded to before about state crime, right, of capital punishment in and of itself. And it makes like a kind of I wish I remember that quote. I could try to find it of the director saying about capital punishment, but basically saying if the government is committing these murders and it is like as bad as war crimes, then it kind of leads the population as all innocents in this way, and like somehow clears them of their own crimes that are lesser than greater than the state that they're in, and
directly points to the audience at the end too. For watching the movie in that like Michael Haneke funny game sort of way, where all of the bureaucrats are leaving the office after he has been successfully executed, and they're saying like, "Thank you for your work, Mr. Priest. Thank you for your work, Mr. Education Commissioner," and then "Thank you, viewer of this film, for watching this film." And that's the very end of the film. So I don't know exactly what to make of this, especially because of like how fixated it is on rape and absolving this like actual objectively true racist or rapist, not racist. It rings a little wrong for me in the present moment. Like I recently rewatched The Devils, which is a movie that I have had like great admiration for many years, and I recently rewatched it like I guess a season or two after the Kavanaugh hearings, and there are scenes in The Devils where he's like talking about how I am a man and I have lived as a man and there is nothing wrong with that. They like felt very similar to the kind of justification we heard in those Supreme Court appointment hearings, and it all feels a little Himpathy-esque, a little like rape apologist-esque, and I don't really know what to do with it. Dylan, what are your thoughts?
The one thing, I have a hard time disagreeing with that, particularly as that seems like the crime point at the center of the movie, right? That's the core thing that they're like questioning, then it all gets really fucked quickly. But I think how it doesn't get out of it because it's still the core of it, but it does go a long way to implicate literally everybody in the penitentiary area, right? Like going so far as to like drawing stereotypes about Koreans and what they think they are like, and the education commissioner like fully showing his whole ass about catcalling and just how, you know, they expect people to interact with women. Yeah, sorry. But so
I think that's our time.
I feel like I'm waking up. I'm like hearing that.
Okay, we're done. Dylan, we can talk about this more later. Death by hanging. People can go watch it if they want to. Lydia, you've been warned.
It's on Criterion Channel.
Oh my god, I need the alarms to stop because that is legitimately triggering me. I feel like I am being yanked out of bed at 7 a.m.
Jeez.
All right, Lydia.
Yes.
You're up.
Yes.
Why did Nathan? Why did you?
I really want to know.
She's so excited to hear this.
I was, you know, I don't know. I was thinking about your taste and just different kind of movies you like, and so I just took a gander at your Letterboxd and what you had viewed recently, and I saw that you gave a very rare heart to Pop Star, Never Stop, Never Stopping, and I was just like, I feel like in the past on this anniversary podcast, I've given people kind of heavier movies. You know, I gave Zach Jean Dielman once, and I didn't really feel like talking about something super serious. And good
transition.
Doing that again and having us talk about something very, very serious, you know, which makes this a good film to follow. So I just mostly wanted, you know, to give you a movie that I think is a really funny movie.
Yeah.
And like, I think Pop Star, I think it's like a very specific kind of parody where like the songs are funny.
Yeah.
And really capturing the specific kind of songs that they're going after, but they're also like catchy, good songs too. So that's why I gave you Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
Like it's okay. So it's not just like making really good jokes about the types of songs or music. I mean, it's also a very specific parody of this kind of movie. It's a mock musical biopic. I actually forgot while I was watching it that the whole fucking thing is a flashback because it starts at something and they're like, well, wait, he can't go on stage yet because he has to consider everything. No, wait, he has to think about his entire life before he plays. And, and then he gets treated his entire life. And
I'm sorry. I love it. Go ahead.
And I was like, okay, we're just going along, whatever. And then they cut the wrong kid dies. They cut a kid in half. And I was like, what the fuck is this movie?
He's like, Dewey, let's go play with machetes in the park.
Stop.
I mean,
you have to set it up because what happens before is the kid's talking about how fulfilling his life is going to be and how he's going to live so many great things.
Yeah,
and,
like,
and then he gets a cut in half.
Well, first they're like picking up fucking rattlesnakes and playing chicken with like tractor and horses, and I'm like, yeah, this seems like the kind of thing poor kids did in the country. Like, sure, whatever. I don't know how to describe the like energy and tone of this movie because it operates at that pitch like the entire rest of the way through. Because after he cuts his brother in half, they have a conversation about it for like a minute.
That's just a really funny, like, dependent clause to open a sentence with. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. And I was like, oh, okay, this is where we're going to be. And then we smash cut to John C. Reilly, and he's 15. And I'm like, he's not 15. And Kristen Wiig plays his 12-year-old girlfriend. I mean, I guess it's really funny because I just watched that like Loretta Lynn biopic that also had like Tommy Lee Jones and Sissy Spacek like playing like not playing a 19-year-old and a 15-year-old at all. Like I was like, you're trying to be 19, Tommy Lee Jones, but which is like a very specific like when you guys talked about I guess like mockumentaries when you're doing the Christopher Guest episode, it just some of these jokes are so extremely specific to the genre. So it's like it wouldn't even register as a joke if you're.
I was actually thinking about this. I was thinking about this after recording that Christopher Guest episode because I actually have not seen Walk Hard, but I used it as an example. I just put it on hold of the library.
Wow.
But, I used it as an example of a mockumentary, but it's not actually a mockumentary, is it? It's a biopic spoof, right?
No, it's a fake biopic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know
but
what it's called.
I don't know. It's very
a lie. Hey, a lie. Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Nathan. Thank you.
Get it? Because it's not true.
Because it's not a real documentary, you know.
Because it's not a true.
Okay. Good.
That, which is also what those are called.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's just so dumb. It's kind of a miracle that like this also came out in 2007. I don't know. Like we were just talking about how 2008 was like kind of a shitty year for studio comedies, but this it's like right before it. It's just got the same dumb joke over it, like, you know, the comedy rule of threes, like you do it 3 times so it's fine, like, and it's the same like you don't want no part of the shit scene with like progressively harder drugs. It's the same like ripping, which I thought were some of the best scenes.
Oh, absolutely.
They're so good.
The first scene that you referenced at the beginning. The scene that you referenced at the beginning of the episode, Zach, the very first Tim Meadows scene, where he's just like, you don't want none of this shit. It's the cheapest drug there is.
It sounds like better. It might be a habit. And then it's like the same image of him like ripping like porcelain sink out of the wall like over and it's not really a joke, but it keeps happening, so now it's a joke. I don't know.
Oh my god.
And then they get again, like they go through the musical eras, like they have like a Bob Dylan parody, and Bob Dylan's like such a fucking asshole. So they also absolutely nailed these like caricatures of Elvis Presley and the Beatles.
Oh my god, the Beatles scene.
It's also very funny that we did the Love Guru and this because the Beatles scene is like when they're in India,
yes,
meditating.
I mean,
so I didn't think about that, but interesting connection.
I also cracked up about the like, okay, we're doing an LSD trip, so here's your animated sequences, just like fucking Booksmart or whatever. I was like, yeah, this is happening now. And also, I guess like Love Guru, but also better than Love Guru because it was funny the whole time. This has like a really great cast of just supporting characters, cameos. Like,
Yeah.
anybody you can think of who's like a well-known comedian. Was it like Jason Schwartzman and Jonah Hill and
Let me just sell this to Andrew real quick. The Beatles are played by Jack Black as Paul McCartney.
Yes.
Paul Rudd as John Lennon.
Okay.
And then it's Jason Schwartzman and Justin Long as Ringo and George Harrison.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
That's great. All I need is Jack Black and I'm in.
Also, I will say that Jack White as Elvis is really amazing.
Yeah,
That
it
is
was
good
a
too.
really good
He
Elvis.
kind of steals the movie a little bit for me.
So I don't know. I don't have anything extra insightful to say about
You enjoyed it though.
Yeah,
right?
no, I'm not mad that I watched it. It's so goofy.
I asked her if she liked it this morning, and she said, I didn't hate it, which I guess is key for Lydia, is I liked it well enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it feels like, just sort of like the movies that it's making fun of, like Walk the Line, but just sped up, it's like, because those movies...
Like, there's this energy.
Yeah, it's like Bohemian Rhapsody and all those movies are, they kind of are about reducing a person's life to this series of important events. And so this is just that, but like taken to the natural, most extreme limit.
Right. I mean, every time something like significant happens to him, you can see him, like he pulls a song title out of it and he's like, I'm going to write a fucking song about this, which I guess is a way that you can structure musical biopics. Like, here's all the important life events when they wrote their best songs. Like, we are the champions. Sure. But that's not how life works.
There's the part where he's like doing drugs and like having sex, and he's like, and he has the shades on. He's like, this is my dark period.
So like, I don't know if this is a smart movie, but it's very
it's straight up
specific.
I think what's funny is just the way it like lampoons the like you were mentioning, the concept of like the myth of the American musician. Like it absolutely is just tearing down the fact that you have to have like this tortured origin story, this tortured storyline in order to make good art. I just love that it's completely spitting that back out into your face, the entire time. Not to mention, it's making fun of just the mold of the biopic, which is, like Rocket Man just came out. The beats that's gonna follow. Like at this point, what's the point of going to see those?
Like the descent
like what's the point of going to see those anymore?
Sex.
Like even if you don't know the person, like the arc that you're gonna get, and that's what makes Walk Hard great, because you know the arc, but it's also ramped up to 110, and that makes it just like so that like makes it better than it should be.
I mean, like, what's crazy about Rocket Man is Elton John collaborated on it. Like, he was in on his own fucking myth making, and this put just such a great pin at the end of it. It's just like, he died 3 minutes after this fucking performance, and I was like, you know what? Yep, that's where you hope all musicians die. Like, great.
Zach, going off of what you said, it's kind of like almost a sort of Forrest Gump type thing, but about like the idea of genius, because he's just like somehow responsible for like all of the major developments and changes and styles in rock music, just like single-handedly. It's also, I think, like kind of has some sly things to say about like the history of race and rock and roll.
Yes, because he takes over from like where he gets his big break is the Craig Robinson's band leader character, like what gets pneumonia and breaks his hands at the same time. I don't know. So he's like, I gotta sing, and the record label people are there and they're like, we want you, Mr. White Guy.
Right, and like the whole joke is that like he starts singing and nobody can tell that he's white. So it's like, it's just tucked in there, it's not the whole movie, but it's like it knows what's up a little bit, it gets some things.
So I don't know, Walk Hard, thanks for the recommendation.
What's better, Walk Hard or Pop Star?
I think Popstar has slightly funnier songs because, like you said, Nathan, they seem like they put a bit of effort into like actually making the songs good. Like John C. Reilly does his best singing, and it's not bad. Like there's some pretty decent imitations.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say parodies because they're not really that funny, but like imitations of these various rock styles. But like Popstar nails like lampooning.
Yeah, it's like the lyrics of the songs in Walk Hard
Yes.
aren't so much what make me laugh. Like they're all funny, like, but the Bin Laden is like those lyrics have me rolling on the ground.
I don't know. I love. I'm not gay.
Not
but if
gay.
I was.
That I cried laughing.
Yeah.
Because Andy Samberg's running around just going, not gay.
I feel like Zach really likes these movies.
Oh, God. I love these movies. I just want to watch these from now on. I got stuck with the
All right,
sad
shots fired.
couple leading lunches.
Whoa.
Wow.
Just eat your breadsticks. Hey, listener note, Jessica ordered breadsticks mid
I was
podcast. So that shows her
hungry,
commitment
and
level.
also they were just
In the middle of the podcast.
All right, we're up to Dylan's pick, unless Lydia has anything else to say in her 2 minutes.
I think I'm out. Thank you. So I guess pivoting. I don't know. This is a very different movie. I picked for Dylan a movie that I saw a couple years ago, and I really, really loved it. It's called In Between. It's an Arabic language film directed by a woman, and I picked it for Dylan because
Fair.
I just wanted to talk about this movie with somebody and spread the word about it.
Yeah. I think
And I think that's a good enough reason.
it's Arabic in parts, but I think it's mostly in Hebrew. If I remember correctly, I mean, because it's set in Tel Aviv,
Okay.
a city in the nation of Israel, the state of Israel as it is, and it's focuses on friendship, and we're basically roommates, three Palestinian women. One, so it's two before Layla and Salma, who already lived together as roommates, and then a cousin who comes up. Like, I think it was a phone conversation with her mom that's just like, hey, yo, get your shit together because you're going to get a roommate that doesn't want any of your wild ways, producing, but more or less is, she comes in.
She's a
Go ahead.
She's a Hajibi, so
Yeah.
a very devout Muslim, basically, and she lives a very pretty conservative lifestyle.
Yeah.
And Layla and Salma, Salma's a DJ, Layla's a lawyer who does drugs all the time.
Yeah. And so the two opening scenes, the very first one is they don't show you who it is that's getting their hair pulled out. It's not wax. I don't know what the woman is who's what they're putting on her leg to get the hair to pull out, but it doesn't look like, it's not the wax paper that we imagine or what they would use now, but
It was like a putty type thing.
It looks like a putty thing, and it's basically what I think it is. Noir getting a talk from her mom.
I think it's her.
Yeah. Basically, how to present yourself with a man that you want to get married to, or that wants to marry you. Probably more to the point. And just let him do what he wants in bed, or follow his lead, and all this shit. And then the second immediate scene is a party scene with Layla and Salma that we later find out was, I think, a bachelorette party, because there's a wedding scene later with a friend that gets married. And the at least between Layla and Salma, right? The vibe is that they're mostly just getting by or hanging out to have fun. Salma specifically, we find out, is a restaurant worker who basically storms out of her job because a guy comes in, is like, hey, don't fucking speak Arabic back here because we don't want to upset our customers. And it's like, well, one, they're in the kitchen. Who the fuck's going to come back in the kitchen? But so she gets mad at him and storms off, quits her job. And so she's kind of floating. But Layla is a criminal defense lawyer And these kind of things as like character notes like slowly come out, and you're just like, whatever stereotype that maybe you assume about these women, immediately gets shattered. Particularly with Layla when she gets buttoned up and goes to her job, right? That there's like a button-up day face for her that's like criminal defense attorney who's good at her job, and then apparently has to deal with it at night with a lot of drugs and everything else. But I think a good like a visual.
It's hard to describe the plot of this.
It is
not a lot because you're watching the interactions of these like three pretty different women.
Right. I mean, they mostly it is mostly like focused on them getting into relationships and them falling out with them in one way or the other, right? But so a good visual like a connection, at least to starting out with the movie, of like connecting Layla with Noir is them getting up in the morning and getting dressed. I think there's like a way that they both like button up, that the way the movie shows it like gives them a visual connection to one another. And then later on,
I mean, they also have a much stronger later.
Yeah, for sure. Right. Oh my God. Well, yeah, we'll talk about that. Oh, fuck.
Okay.
But Noir, we find out, even though she comes from like this conservative background, that she's actually like relatively chill, or like, and she's an actual person that like is not mad about their shit or, the bad things that she thinks her roommates are doing. Like the only time it really like comes up is when the guy, oh fuck, I've already forgot this.
Her fiance.
Yeah, her fiance shows up a couple times, that like, she has to like completely rearrange the whole apartment space to like make it more palatable.
Like hide all the alcohol bottles.
Alcohol bottles, all the weed, and just like, all the questionable posters But like, I don't know, just like as a humanizing point, I think the first scene where like she shows up at the apartment to stay, like she goes through a don't touch box that's in a closet in the room that she's staying in. And like she pulls out like a doll that's in a barrel, and she lifts up the doll, and it's like a ridiculous like,
it's like a gag gift.
Yeah, it's like a gag penis gift, or it's like a ridiculous character that like a ridiculously large penis springs up off of it. And like she doesn't freak out. She just like has a
she laughs.
She like has like a little chuckle to herself. And there's like this, a humanizing thing where it's like, whatever, she's not as stuffy or whatever as you may assume. So oh God. So trying to decide which relationship to start with. I mean, the main one that like bonds them together, right, is the one with Noir and the fiance, to where Noir is,
her fiance is like a very sanctimonious.
Right. Oh my God, for sure.
He spends a bunch of time judging Salma and Layla, and he's like, "You got to get out of this apartment with these whores. Like,
or just
they don't cover their hair."
Getting on Tel Aviv, it's like, this is a bad like scene. You just need to go to Jaffa. I got like set up for you, and then we can get married. I want to push up the date and all this. And like Noir's actually like focused on her studies. Like she actually like wants to finish her computer science exams and everything else, and actually get her degree.
She's very realistic. She's like, okay, I want to marry you because you're very traditional, but also like we need a 2-income household.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but like
not ideal. But
but him being the sanctimonious person who is like, God will provide. You just need to stay at home. You remember what Allah says? Like, going to the mosque is one thing, but wife should stay at home, raise the kids properly, that kind of thing. So and that's like the first scene we see in their interaction with each other. So it's like, well, great, this is going to go well, I'm sure. And actually, Lydia, when you're forewarning me about the movie, about the assault and rape scene that was going to be in it, I swear to God, it like stressed me out. Like, as it kept going, as like, I know who it's going to be with, and I fucking hate it. But like, I was actually like nervous the whole time of like, who's gonna end up in this bad like back alley scene, and I hate it because like at first it seemed like Layla was gonna
because she's she lives very dangerously.
She has risky habits, and like she accepts a lot of pot from like random people that she doesn't know, but she's strong-minded and tells them to fuck off and is able to walk away. But as the movie keeps going, Nora, like as you said, realistically wants to finish her studies and shit, but like this guy like it turns on a goddamn dime. The scene that it happens on, where it's just like, why don't you? And he just gets mad that she says, no, I don't want to do that yet. And he like calls her like she's getting impure because she's around these women that you don't even recognize it. You've been around them for so long. And at a certain point when she denies like wanting to go to the apartment and having a car to be able to like, you know, I guess be closer to him and away from Tel Aviv, and you can make the 4-hour commute round trip, that he just gets like real pissed at her and then fucking just decides to rape her. It's like, oh, great, cool, this is just happening. Yeah, and it's at this fucking off, like, you know, obviously intentionally gross angle where it's just you see his butt crack the whole time.
It's distinctly not erotic or like sexualized at all.
Right.
It's portrayed like just as horrible as it would be.
Oh god. So the second and like third act, I mean, it's kind of as you said, Lydia, it's kind of hard to describe because some of it is like just small interactions building up, but the through line that like binds them together is like a slow building revenge plot of getting back at the fiance, of being the shitheel that he is. And Layla like dresses up and goes to his charity office.
She puts on a hijab and
pretends
like,
to be,
feeds him the story.
Yeah, feeds him the story about being beaten by a husband, and like rubs him into like the movie doesn't show it directly, but it's at an angle where it looks like he's being surveilled, right? That like they're there watching this interaction between the two, and that we find out later that they have photo evidence of them sleeping together, or what we presume is, you know, him in a compromised position.
Like it looks very sexual.
Yeah, in a compromised position that like completely fucks up his reputation. And that as a revenge gets her out of the marriage that she was just going to be spiraling into, that she didn't know how at first that she was going to get out of, right?
Because this is not a society where women can just say no. Like, it's pretty clear that this is kind of like an arranged marriage, and her family is super invested, obviously.
Well, super invested at the prospect, but when the scene comes where she forces him because of her friend's efforts to like, you have to come with me to tell my dad that this is over. And I was
like, you have to be the one to break the engagement because I have no power.
I can't do that, or they wouldn't believe me, or they would, it would just not work out. And I was really worried about that scene, depending on how it went. But
it goes the best way it can.
So like the guy fucking just immediately just besmirches Noor, like
5 minutes,
saying it's like, she's not the same person I thought she was before, and that, you know, it's just not going to work out. And then, you know, it's like at an angle where you're seeing Noir and just like her just tensing up, just pissed at this dude. Like, you fucking ass. Like, you're lucky I don't like immediately shit on you right now with all these photos. And him just explaining this to the dad that's off screen. And then it goes to the dad, and it's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but you need to leave. Like, whatever, she looks the same to me.
You're not worthy of my daughter.
I'm not going to ask somebody to beg to marry my daughter. So fuck off and leave.
Get out.
Get out of my store. And so, you know, as an end to at least that specific arc, as you said, that could have gone the best that it could have. But sadly, you know, as a counterpoint, the Salma arc that we really haven't touched on as much.
Oh my God.
Does not go as well.
Salma is from a deeply Christian family.
Yeah, which, you know, I honestly didn't pick up on like until the scene with the larger dinner. That was another arranged kind of like dinner, right? To like hook her up with somebody. And that it was like, I think the immediate shot into that dinner is like a close up on the breast. And it's like a cross.
It's a crucifix.
That's in between them. And you find out it's a point of view shot of, I think, her brother, just like fixated.
Her younger brother.
Yeah. But at that point I was like, you know, I wasn't sure, but I was like, oh, I guess this is like a real, okay.
Salma.
Go ahead.
Salma's a lesbian.
Right.
So also she's been like letting her family set up these arrangement
Pretty much.
dates, courtship things with dudes. And she's not interested in it, but like, what are you going to do? It's your family.
Right. And so, I mean, before then, they set up that like she's like connected with somebody that she met at the bar that she now works at. And they're kind of a slow relationship to the point that, she feels comfortable enough to like show her hometown and like visit with her family. Right. Like God knows that she probably just wanted somebody to talk with at this fucking, formal dinner that she's like, I need someone else there. Right. But they both go to the kitchen at one point and the mom sees them like intimate and talking and
flirting
kissing,
or kissing, something.
And like it was enough to like shock her to then immediately away. And then the next scene is like them on the couch just eating an orange. And then the mom shows up, is like, your dad wants to talk to you. And then the dad like immediately screams her name, Salma, and runs in and just it's like, the mom's like, your friend needs to leave. We can't have her here. If you ever talk to her again, or if she ever talks to you again, or even like connects to you again, it'll pay dearly for it. And the dad like gets her alone, slaps her, just doesn't know what to do with her. For fuck's sake. And like Salma, I guess, actually cares for her family. And so like fucking endures this shit until like in the middle of the night where her mom and dad are just like complaining, fearing what is
he says something about like being reelected or something. Like he can't have a lesbian daughter.
I can't have that rumor around even that she like immediately leaves the house at night when she gets a chance. And like her arc is basically like, I guess I got to go to Germany. I just need to leave here. I cannot stay here anymore. So, go ahead.
I just really adore this movie because I really liked all of the relationships and very like small character details that all of the women got.
Right.
I don't know. It's not actually that uplifting.
No, right. I mean, the title of the movie and then the like literal freeze frame that it ends on is like showing these people in, I guess as literal as the title as it can be, is an in-between state. So, yep. There it is. Could talked a lot more about
There it is.
yeah, sorry. Also, I felt like I should have brought more of just. I felt bad of not talking more about them living as Palestinians in Tel Aviv.
Yeah,
but I don't feel like I have a good enough grasp about the neighborhoods that they're talking about to like. Because they live in, upper middle class life, more or less that it seems like. So it's not.
It's okay. It's okay. We're gonna end on a nice note.
Discrimination.
It's okay. Just plug the movie and tell people. And then
I'm not gay, but if I was, I would want equal rights. I'm not
Is this a bit? Are you doing a bit?
I don't know what's
It's
happening.
not fair. I'm not gay. The government has to say. And who can love who not gay or to which God you can pray on a gay. It gets me so angry.
What are
That's
you
pop
doing,
star.
Zach?
Thank
I'm
you.
so confused right now. Zach?
Oh my god.
Edit it in later.
I can put that up if you'd
I
like.
thought for a moment you were gonna play the Joker cover from The Love Guru,
Oh God.
and I was
Very
disappointed.
choppy.
Yeah, we might as well.
You
We
maybe
might as
just
well.
put it,
That was
at the
supposed to
beginning
play,
of the
but it
episode.
was really choppy.
It was
So-
ill-conceived.
Everybody turned it off.
They're not listening anymore. So.
Yeah, thank you, Ron.
Thanks for listening to 250 of these things,
nobody
people.
ever made
If
this-
no one's listened to that many, but thanks,
Hell yeah.
thanks Ron for listening to 190 something of them.
Thank you, Ron, for never pressing the skip Nathan button. I know it's very tempting.
Patrons only get access to the Skip Nathan button, by the way. So go to patreon.com/cinematary.
That should be like the $20 tier. I think we would get
Yeah,
more
David.
What are you talking about? That's definitely a thing.
The real question is why David Allen hasn't been a patron yet. Where you at, David?
Yeah, David. David, where are you? We've had so few listeners actually identify themselves that we have
We
like
can
five that we
we
just
can
say
point
their
out
names all the
every
time.
single one of them that's ever.
Twitter at Cinematary.
Who are you people? Tell us your names. Send us an email. Zach@cinematary.com.
If you would like to tell us who the hell you are, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/cinematary, at Twitter handle cinematary, on Letterboxd, letterboxd.com/cinematary. We also have the movies that we talked about this week. And if you would like to be a patron,
Don't forget to thank our patrons.
well, if you would wait 5 goddamn seconds, I would get to that part. or you can go to patreon.com/cinematary and become a patron and get yelled at by Zach. That's one of the perks. We have thank you to our patrons. I'm gonna go from the middle and then go up and then go down. Matthew Lingo, Maggie, Christopher Metcalf, Chad Newsom, Cam, Whitney Rio Ross, Tyler Chandler, Ron Hayes, and Miranda Barnwall. Thank you.
Yay.
To all of you people whose names we have as record that you listen. Oh, they might not listen. I don't know.
We're going to send you, by the way, we're going to send you a survey in a couple of days,
'Cause that's
patrons.
exciting.
So be looking in your, I guess, email inboxes for those.
All right, I'm wrapping it
Yeah,
up. Thanks for
that'll be
listening, guys. Hopefully, bye.
Some people call me the space cowboy. Yeah. Some call me the gangster love. Some people call me Maurice. Because I speak of the bomber jets of love. 'Cause I'm a picker.